Hello everyone, this is Dumb Old Dad and I'm bringing you another video. As you may have known, I have been fighting cancer for several years, and one of the things that I do to fight back against cancer is to eat a healthy diet. And one of those things that I do to eat healthy is I make a special soup. It's called Hippocrates Soup. So Hippocrates said that the way to get over diseases is to eat healthy. So he created a soup called Hippocrates Soup. And so I'm going to make that for you today and show you what I do and some of the tips and tricks so that if you are making this soup as well, you can maybe get some ideas about what I do. So number one, inside here, I posted the ingredients that I need so that I don't have to keep looking somewhere. I just open up this and there's a little piece of paper on here. You can't see it, but it's sitting right here and it tells me how much of each thing that I should be doing. And I'm not going to do a full huge soup. I'm just going to do a soup for one person. So for one person you need one medium leek. So there you go, there's a leek. You need a half a pound of potatoes. So I get out a small little scale here and I weigh them to see how much my potatoes weigh. I need, let's see, 1.5 pounds of tomatoes, but I'm going to use a little bit more tomatoes. So it says to use as much garlic as you want. I'm just going to use one garlic here. It says to use 2 medium onions, so I'm going to use this onion here. It says to use some parsley, so I'm going to chop up some of this parsley. And then here's the really strange one. This is a celery root. So it says to use a full celery root, but I'm going to use half because I'm cutting the recipe in half because I don't need to make all of it right now. So these are the ingredients that I need, and I'll show you how I chop them up into pieces. So what you should do is chop them into really small pieces so that they cook really easily. And so, but it takes forever if you get a knife to cut these into several pieces. There are still some things that I do need to use a knife for example, the tomatoes, and this guy really is really hard to chop up. But the other items, I use this little slicer. And it's a real cheap slicer. I think I got it for $20 or I don't know, 15 maybe. And I put in these with the little slicer blades on it. And so I run this through this slicer and I just put it on top of my pot that I'm going to be putting them in. So this is what it looks like. So as I chop these up, it just automatically goes straight into my pot. So I'll show you what the potatoes look like. I'll just jam the potato on the end of my little slicer, and then I just run them through here. Now I don't have to cut them up with my knife and worry about any of that. So there you go. I have a little bit of piece of that, and I'll chop this up at the end. So there's one. Here's my second potato that I'm adding. There you go, there's my second little end there. But if you look into my pot, look at that, it's already chopped them all up and they ended up in my pot, so it doesn't make a mess on the counter. So I'll do the same thing. Oh, let me show you another little trick. I went and bought a bunch of rubber gloves because you're dealing with onions and garlic, and so your fingers smell like onions and garlic for like several days after you do this. So I just buy a whole big huge box, 100 of these, and then I don't care about my hands getting onion stuff all over it. So the other thing that I do is I put a garbage can right on the floor right here. There's my garbage can. I'll just put it on the floor so when I have something to throw away, boom, goes straight into the garbage can. I don't have to worry about it. The next one is the leek. So you don't have to have all this green stuff on here. So I usually cut the green stuff off. So there you go. That's how much I cut off. Then I also cut off the end right here. go. That's how much I cut off. So now you just have the leek, and what I do is I cut a slice down here. Well, it depends on whether you can see any dirt down in there. I don't see much dirt. I'm going to clean off, maybe peel off a couple of these. There you go. So I get down to nice clean ones. And then I can use my little slicer again. That's the nice thing. So here we go. You need to be very careful because now your hand's here, and if you slice it across these blades, it's going to cut you. There's no doubt. So you see, every time I cut, there's stuff falling into the thing, into my pot. So then I just move my hand up here a little bit so that it doesn't hit my arm. Okay, that's pretty good. It's like an onion. I mean, it's really makes my eyes water. So there you have it. There is the leek. There you go. So I've got the potatoes now and the leeks. That's what it looks like inside there. So the next thing is an onion. Yeah, I'm gonna jab it onto here. See my little prongs on there? There you go. Jam it on there, and then just slice it up right into my pot. You have a little bit left here, and I'll just cut that up with my knife. Okay, I've never tried this before, but I'm going to try to use my little slicer with these tomatoes. Not doing a great job. I think I'll just cut it with my regular knife. So I'm only using half of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off all of this brown stuff, which is the outside of the root. So all I'll end up with is all the nice white parts of the root. Okay, so there you have it. Now I'm going to try and use my little slicer to see if it handles it all right. Okay, it's really hard. It's harder than a potato, but it looks like it's working. Okay, there's the little end. And there are my little slices of my celery root, so that looks good. I'm just going to use a little different knife because the one I was using doesn't work so good. I'm just going to slice these as thin as I can. There we go. One last tomato. There you go, that's what it looks like. Then I'm going to chop up this parsley into little pieces. Mostly just the top part. I don't like these because it sticks out in the soup too much. So I just like to use the tops of the parsley. So I just bunch them up really tight in my hand and then just chop really small pieces like here. The smaller the better on the pieces so it doesn't kind of have little sticks coming in your soup. So once I get down to the stems, then I throw the rest of it away. And this is what I put inside my soup. So the last part is the garlic. So my son and daughter-in-law bought me this little chopper and grinder. So it's a little small little processor. So I don't use it for any big stuff because it doesn't handle it very well, but for garlic it does a great job. I'll leave a link in the description for this. It's a 4-cup work bowl Cuisinart. So all I do is I take my garlic pieces that I already kind of pulled all of the one of the skins off of. So these are all just don't have any skins on them anymore, and then just dump them in here. So garlic is very good for you, so I put as much as I can handle. Okay, so I just put it in there, put the lid on, and then hit chop. Okay, then it's all chopped up like that. And so I just take out the middle and dump the rest of it in my bowl. Okay, there you have it. There is my full pot with Hippocrates Soup ingredients. And then I use distilled water, and you pour in as much as you can until it fills it up to the level at which all of your vegetables are. So I need one more of these. Okay, so there you go. I filled it up until it reaches right there where my vegetables are. I usually stir it up a little bit. This is also really good to have a glove. And you heat it up until it boils, and then after it boils, then you turn it down to low and you leave it on low for 2 hours with the lid on, and so it just simmers and cooks. So I'm going to put it on the stove. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done.
2 hours later.
2 hours later, and I'm going to get my pot off the stove. Alright, this is what it looks like. Can you see it in there okay? This is the soup, and it just has broken up pieces, as you can tell. Well, you could eat it like this, but I don't like eating it with all of the mushy stuff in it. So in the Gerson therapy, they always have you grind it down or mash it down. And so I use this. It is it's a food processor. And so it has holes in the bottom here, and you turn it just like this, and then it smashes the food down through those holes. And so that's how that works. So I put it over one of these little measuring cups, just like that. So here's my setup. I just take my scooper, and I scoop it into my food processor, food masher. Okay, so that's what it looks like. I put it in just like that, and then the water kind of drains down into the bottom, and then I'll show you here as it mashes. So you turn it like this, and it smashes all of the food down in. So I do about 3 or 4 turns to the right, and then a couple turns to the left, because when you turn it to the right, it smashes it down, and when you turn it to the left, it kind of scrapes all the stuff off the holes, so the holes are open again so that you can smash them. So this is what's happening. See how it's just kind of smashing its way through? Now you can see the water, it's now just not water, it now has little pieces of the vegetables that are being smashed through their process. I think they call it a food mill. I think that's what this is called, food mill. And I'll put a link in the description for this food mill as well. It's also on Amazon. I don't know, it's $25 maybe. There's no salt, there's no pepper, no seasoning. It's just straight vegetables. There you go. You can see a little bit more about what the finished product looks like. You can see it's kind of mushy on the other side. It does take a little bit of work, so I think you can lose weight by just having to put this whole Hippocrates soup together, because it does take a lot of effort and time. Then what I do, another secret, I grab one of these plastic spoons and I scrape down the sides so that the mill smashes it some more. So at a certain point, I have to dump it because it's getting too tall and too high. So then that's when I just get my plastic bowl and I pour it in the plastic bowl. There we go. That is the soup right there. So I'm going to keep going. Now normally I do, I double what I did here, but today I'm just doing one batch, I guess. If I do a normal batch, it's gonna fill 2 of these completely full. But since I'm only doing one, it's only give me one bowl full of Hippocrates soup. Just want to give you an idea of what it looks like. You're just smashing everything through these little holes. All the potatoes, all the onions, all of the celery root, everything just gets smushed down in there. So they're very small particles. I think the reason that they do that is so that your stomach can digest it and absorb all of the nutrients in all of these vegetables, and then you can absorb it into your system so much faster when it's almost halfway digested. I know that sounds really gross, but in reality, that's what we're doing, is we're getting these vegetables into a state where your stomach doesn't have to digest it as much. It's just automatically ready to be digested as soon as you swallow it. So you don't even have to chew it, no chewing involved. So if you can see, here's the stuff inside there. It's just the fiber stuff, and then it's smashing it into the bowl. Okay, that is it. All right, thank you so much for watching. That is me making Hippocrates soup. I hope all of you enjoyed the video and maybe learned something. Maybe it'll make it so you're not so scared about making the Hippocrates soup, because it's really not as hard. And I'm just a dumb old dad. I don't know what I'm doing, and I can make it. So if I can make it, you can make it. Again, no salt, no sugar, no seasonings. It's just straight soup. So you can use it. Sometimes I just drink it. I put it in a cup and warm it up every day, and then I eat it that way. Or I'll put it in a bowl and I'll eat it that way. And then I've heard other people that they'll make, a bowl of other soup type stuff, and then they'll add this as kind of a broth to it. So you can do that too, but super healthy, super good for you. It will help you fight whatever diseases you might have. So that is my Hippocrates soup. Thank you for watching Dumb Old Dad. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Dumb Old Dad. Bye.